in 2025, we have technology for that, it doesn't have to happen. And so it sparked a big debate in our industry around KYC and better solutions. But yeah, certainly that's one of the key areas where we see the internet being broken today.
Who here wonders whether they're reading content on Twitter written by real humans or not? I mean, I wonder every day when I'm on Twitter. Hasib is also one of these people, right? I think he pointed out here that he just, in the last year, especially replies on Twitter have gotten to the point where it's really hard to say, like, is this really a human? Most of them just look like AI agents now writing. And it's kind of crazy that, it's only been, 2 years since LLMs have really taken off, that we now live in a world where we have to really wonder whether or not we're speaking to a human or an AI agent. Today's Sora announcement by OpenAI is only going to make this problem even worse. Soon we won't even know if a video is really of a person or AI generated. And it's just crazy. And one thing that I think few people realize that's coming is soon AI agents themselves will be curious if they're speaking to a human or not. This isn't just a problem for us, this will be a problem for AI agents as well.
This is something that's maybe nearer and dearer to our heart, right? Any airdrop, any token distribution, this has been a big problem for everyone in our space. Like, how do we keep the bots out, right? How do we make sure that as we build our communities, the tokens go to real people? So something that I think resonates well with this room.
Adult content is now restricted to people who have to do KYC. This is a great way to protect minors. And so I think generally it's a good thing, but it does mean that suddenly these sites are collecting your KYC information. So if you thought the Coinbase hack was bad, wait until one of these sites gets hacked. It's going to be, I think, a catastrophe. And again, there are better solutions here.
Another way in which the internet is broken, and I remember Tim Berners-Lee, a few years ago, saying when he was asked what he would do differently if he had a chance to kind of reinvent the World Wide Web. And he talked about sort of the lack of a payments layer, built-in payments layer. And we see this a lot. We work a lot across kind of global markets, emerging markets, and in some of these markets for sort of any kind of online commerce transaction, it gets built through the carrier, and the fees can be up to 40%, which is obviously just ridiculous. And yeah, something that, if there was sort of a native payment layer to the internet, would probably work pretty differently.
And I would say that there's kind of two big solutions in our ecosystem that's looking at both of these. The first is the whole ecosystem around Opera MiniPay that we and Opera, the browser company, have been growing together. Once again, the cash links that you're redeeming are through Opera. And the second one is around the ZK identity space. So there's a new protocol on Celo called Self that we're involved with that allows you in zero knowledge to prove statements about yourself that can be verified on-chain or off-chain. And so maybe just jumping into Self real quick, once again, it's the ZK identity protocol that lets you use your biometric ID. So this can be your biometric passport, it could be your EU ID card, or we just launched support for the Aadhaar card in India. Any of these IDs now have cryptographically signed data embedded in the ID itself. And that data is signed by your issuing country. And so this means that we can prove cryptographically that you have a valid ID. And if we do that with the smart contract on-chain, we can also prove that you have a valid ID without a counterparty. So there's no one to give your data to then for you to then have to worry about the data being hacked. And so that's pretty exciting. But if you do that, you're going to be sharing your information with everyone on-chain. And so the way that Self works is we're actually doing that in zero knowledge. So we create ZK snark proofs that prove that you have a valid passport or a valid ID or a valid Aadhaar card. And from then on, you can start proving statements about yourself in zero knowledge that third-party applications can verify. And so this allows you to basically prove that you are a unique individual, which allows you to solve the Sybil attack problem. So for airdrops, like that linear airdrop, you could use this to prevent any Sybil accounts, trivially. And again, you can do this in a privacy-preserving way. You can also prove that you're a human, right? Because AI agents don't get passports, don't get IDs. So if you want to prove that you're, in fact, a human creating content online, then you could use something like Self for that. And you can also prove your age without revealing your actual birth date. So for certain use cases, you want to prove that you're over a certain age. We're also working with some dating applications that actually care about the opposite. They want you to prove that your age is under a certain limit, which is pretty funny. And then finally, especially for crypto use cases, you can also prove that you're not on the OFAC list. And you can do this in zero knowledge without revealing your name, your date of birth, your passport number, all the things that typically are listed in the OFAC list. You can prove that you're not on that list without revealing any of those things. So it's pretty exciting. Definitely recommend checking it out. If you go to self.xyz, you can play with it. And we're very, very excited by the reception to Self. You know, we only launched this earlier this year, and already we have a bunch of people building and integrating with it. You know, probably first and foremost is Google that announced that they're using Self for 3 new products that they're actively building. Pretty exciting stuff. Aave recently announced that they have boosted rewards now. So some pools, if you verify that you're a unique individual, you can receive double the rewards. So you can double the amount that you're making, for example, on your USDT. And then finally, Velodrome is doing the same. So we have boosted rewards for LP positions if you verify that you, in fact, are a unique individual.
This definitely, you know, if you go back to our earlier examples, you can see how that addresses a bunch of these big problems, right, that we outlined in the beginning. You know, to prove, for example, to a site that you're over a certain age, right, or maybe instead of doing cumbersome KYC and risking your data being hacked and exploited, right, just simply sharing a proof with those applications. Now, the other one of the other big problems we talked about was around micropayments, or just generally commerce on the internet, and carrier billing really having pretty massive fees and making many use cases impossible. And so a few years ago we partnered with Opera, the browser company, 30 years of bringing people onto the internet, 500 million active users, so massive distribution, market leader in actually many of the global markets. And they started by actually launching a non-custodial wallet called MiniPay in one of their Android browsers. And that became so popular that they decided to also launch standalone wallets for iOS and Android. Fast forward to today, they have over 10 million users, over 2 million weekly actives, and with that actually making it the second most important distribution channel for Tether's USDT. And what's really incredible to see is the range of use cases. So of course, peer-to-peer payments, people sending each other payments in stable coins. On Celo, you can do that simply based on phone numbers, which is a really nice UX. But then also enabling really a growing kind of rich ecosystem of merchant payments. So my colleagues was just recently in Kenya and was able to use MiniPay at every local merchant that was accepting M-Pesa. And if we go back to that earlier example, I think we have a slide on that, right? This is one of my favorite examples. Who here knows Mdundo? So it's kind of like the Spotify for Africa. And previously, if you wanted to buy a subscription, right, you would have had to go to your carrier billing, and the fees on that were just enormous, up to 40% depending on the country.
I thought Apple was bad.
Yeah, it's worse than sort of the fees, the kind of fees Apple charges. And it's wild. Now, if you have MiniPay, which you now have thanks to claiming your cash links, your free cash, you'll see if you go into the Discover section of the wallets, you have a whole range of really cool mini apps. Mdundo is one of them. And you can go in for, I think it's as little as 2 cents a day. You can buy a daily subscription. At the fee on that on chain is a tenth of a cent. You start listening to music right away, and it's really a game changer, not just for the user, but obviously also for Mdundo. So just one example of really, where we see the future of payments evolve on the internet, and definitely fixing one of the internet's big problems. So, yeah, maybe just sharing some additional stats here. This was a funny tweet we picked up, but yeah, there's millions of stablecoin transactions a day. I think Opera MiniPay itself has generated over 270 million transactions to date. People transacting in stablecoins, and that's also starting to really reflect in the volumes that we're seeing on Celo overall in stablecoins.